bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, whoa. Pump the brakes on this truck. It's Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing? Today's Wednesday, September 6th. 248 days into the new year, just 117 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? I'm just going to say this really quick. Karen, that gift that you just posted is a big bowl of wrong. Man. I mean, I don't know what's worse. The guy on the left or the guy on the right. I think I know that guy on the right. I think he used to work here. Rita, is that Charlie? That looks like the Shekinator. All right. Okay, all right. Let me get my feet on the ground here. Let me get it planted, because tonight, very special guest, continuing our Age of Disclosure week here at Fade to Black. Tonight, Teresa Yanaros is here. Another first-time guest. Last night, Justin Deschamps was here. Amazing show last night. If you missed it, it's up in the archives podcast. Great show last night, but we're going to continue that tonight with Teresa. And yes, this is Age of Disclosure 2. You have been living 2 lives. Yeah, tonight we're going to do just that. Teresa's going to be here. Very excited, and great person, personality, and completely awakened and very smart. And, part of the next generation. That's right. And that's what this show is all about. I want to talk about that in just a bit. But tomorrow night, we have a little change of plans. And it is Irma coming down on us. Because tomorrow night, Gerald O'Donnell was going to be here. He was scheduled. But he lives in the Miami area. When I say lives in the Miami area, I mean lives in the Miami area. And so right now, the car is packed and the family is evacuating along with, hundreds of thousands of people that are leaving Miami. And Gerald is heading to higher and safer ground. We wish him the best, of course. That's what our thoughts are. And speaking to him today, I mean, he was so bummed. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? This is just a radio show. Man, take care of what you got to take care of. We'll get you on next week or the week after or whenever everything clears up. It's not that big of a deal at all, man. And so there you go. All right, so Gerald, and if you are listening, please be safe. Just go and do your thing. Everybody, our thoughts are with everybody in the Caribbean and Puerto Rico today and all of the Caribbean islands. Oh man, St. Kitts, whew, just crazy, just absolutely nuts. And Irma's moving barreling her way across the Caribbean and is expected to run into Florida. Now, what part of Florida? Is it going to be south? Is it going to be the Keys? Is it going to be more on the eastern side? Is it going to barrel through Florida and over Florida and then head into the Gulf? We don't know. There are a couple of preliminary forecasts right now, and there is one that is, hopefully it'll be cool. It's going to turn north right before Florida and hopefully just brush Florida and then head back out into the Atlantic. That's a possibility. We just don't know. It's just been an absolutely crazy couple of weeks here for the world. I mean, we have flooding, disasters all around the world. We have I don't know what the count is of wildfires that are burning across the United States right now. And of course, we had one in our backyard last week that started Thursday, I think, or Thursday, maybe Wednesday of last week, and just got out of control. Watching a fire burn from your home like that is just crazy. It's just, and we do it every year here. Some people aren't so lucky, they lose things, but we deal with it every year. But right now, it's out of control out there. Okay, so anyway, our thoughts are with Gerald O'Donnell and his family in Florida and everybody else, all of our friends and family, and everybody just be safe out there. Okay, follow us on Twitter at JChurch Radio, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is Fade to Black. JChurch Radio, you can go right now, follow, like, and subscribe. Go to the website, easiest thing to do. That's what I would do. Sometimes when you brew coffee, and when you brew as much coffee as we do, Faded Black Blend, River Moon Coffee, we brew it so often that you can tell when you get the lucky brew. Because same machine, same French press, same this, same grinders. Everything's the same. But once in a while, a brew stands out above the others, and you're like, man, that's a good. It should be the same, right? I don't know what it is, but today, good brew. Drinking it out of a. Everybody's looking. They're probably going to tweet. Well, if they don't tweet, then I won't say anything. All right. It's the cup that I'm using. Okay. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you know what to do. The sandbox is hashtag F2B. Any questions or comments during the show, please use hashtag F2BQ. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. In the breaking news, yes, Hurricane Irma is moving across the Caribbean, heading directly towards Florida. And Richard Branson, that's right, the Richard Branson, Virgin, is riding out the hurricane in the wine cellar below his house on Necker, his private island in the British Virgin Islands. And that's right, it's 10 after 7. So right now, the eye of the hurricane should be going directly over Irma. It was expected to go over right now, actually, about 10 minutes ago. And so he chose to write it out. I wouldn't have. He can afford to do whatever he wants. But then again, I guess you're a little bit bored when you have that much money and you just think that is something that would be cool and fun to do because you've done everything. And, what else is left in life than to just write out a Category 5 hurricane from your private island in the Caribbean? Well, okay, so that's what he's doing. Well, I'm sure he'll be venturing out of doors here in a couple of hours and wonder why he did just that. But there you go. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 700 archive shows there. Yes, the Apple version of our app got updated about 4 days ago, and everything is done, and we're just waiting for Apple to slap it back into the Apple Store. We've gotten more than a few emails about it. I saw a tweet right before the show, and it's done. And maybe it'll be up tonight or tomorrow. But we got everything to them that they needed 3 or 4 days ago, and so they fixed everything that they needed to do, and it should be up. But anyway, and over at the Google Store, you can get all of your Android stuff over there, as well as Kindle and anything else that you need. Just $2 a month. Also, if you want to become an official Fade or Not, just go over to jimmychurchradio.com, go to the membership area, and everything is there that you need. You can become a Fade or Not for free, and you can go all the way to the Game Changer. Lots and lots of pictures over the last 24 hours from people that are getting their hats and shirts and stuff. It's so cool to see those get posted. When you do get them, take a picture, send it to us. We just throw it in the archives, and some of them we post out if you don't mind. If you post it first, then we will post it because that's public domain stuff. But go and get all of your gear over in our membership area, the Game Changer. All right, and don't forget all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, and Studio Dome Speakers. All of the banners are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. All the promo codes that you need are there in the banners. Go do it. You're going to get yourself free shipping, discounts. All of that applies. Just use the promo codes that are there. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Pink Floyd frontman, the dude, Roger Waters. Today is 74. Still got the pipes. Roger's still out there doing it. Today, he is 74 years old. One of my favorites today it's his birthday, and it's Idris Elba. Idris Elba today is 45 years old. Of course, starred in Rock and Rolla, had some of the great lines in Rock and Rolla. The Wire, that TV series, I think that was Showtime or HBO, but great series. Prometheus, Thor, Pacific Rim, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Idris Elba. Now, a couple of months ago, I had reported that Idris broke a world record in a sedan, in a car. The fastest, I think that's what it was, sedan or an SUV. I think it was a sedan, a Bentley. He drove a Bentley, broke the world record for a sedan or for a convertible. I forget what it was, but he did like 240 miles an hour twice in each direction on one of the salt flats. And you got to run for like 4 miles. 200. Idris Elba, man. You got to have mad skills to pull that off. You just don't jump in a car and drive 240 miles an hour. He is the man. Idris Elba today, 45 years old. All right, on this day in history, OTD. 1976. Who will forget this day? If you were around, you certainly remember it. A Soviet pilot lands his Russian MiG-25 fighter jet in Japan and then jumps out of the plane, literally asks for asylum in the United States. Don't know his name, right? He is underground. At the time, the MiG-25 was thought to be the most advanced plane in the world, right? And that was the big fear. Well, upon closer inspection, it turned out to be quite the opposite. Although fast, and it was fast, and it looked pretty cool. You looked at it up close, and then you found out that it was very crude technology, rivets, old school, no digital anything, meters, levers, no flight, nothing. It was just an engine and wings, right? Just lacked technology, crude. And one expert joked, well, I guess it could be worse. It might have been made out of wood, end quote. Fader fact. Check this out. I want my numbers people to get in on this, and let's see who tweets first. I want answers. And John, you look good in your hat. I got to admit that hat was made for you. Is this Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise split, divorced with all 3 of his wives, 3 when they were 33 years old. 333. Now, that's way beyond coincidence, right? And what's the significance of that? So I'm going to throw it out to you, Fadernauts. I want to see Twitter light up. I want to see the chat rooms light up right now. What is that? Tom Cruise, 3 wives, 33 years old, 3 divorces. 3. Trippy, huh? That is a Fader fact. All right, tonight, very special guest, Teresa Yanaros is here. Age of Disclosure Part 2. Tomorrow night's another Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. Gerald O'Donnell had to reschedule because of Hurricane Irma. Okay, all right. Now, I want to sit down and chat with you guys for a second because when we started this show so many years ago, we had a few things in mind. One, to figure out this UFO thing. That's number one. That's number one. Number two, and we're getting close on this UFO thing, by the way. I think we have some answers. And number two was to fill in the blanks on lost history. That's number two. And number three was to find out who is really running the world. So that's number three. It's our Tom Cruise. Number three. Number four was to locate John Teeter's time machine. All right, laugh, ba-dum-bum. Number 5 was a quest for the lost tapes of Randy Rhoads and Dimebag Darrell. Right? That's what this show is about. And number 6 was to unite the next generation of our community. That was the basis of this show. And if we could pull all of this off, it would make us happy. Right? Figure out this UFO thing, figure out lost history, find out who's running the world, who's behind the curtain. John Teeter's time machine, we're still looking for that. That'd be really cool. And, and music and just culture and pop culture and work that in. And, of course, ultimately was to unite the next generation of our community. And the reason for that is there were lots of, still are, you have Coast to Coast, of course. But before Coast to Coast, there were lots of really cool late-night talk radio shows. There were lots of cool things that were on TV. And we had Larry King once a year on CNN doing his UFO special with Shirley MacLaine, right? And so all of that, we had that. But to be honest with you, that's like an introductory course, but it's also another generation. It's another generation. And I looked at myself and look, as much as Shirley MacLaine is cool, and she is, and others that are out there, and I'm 53, okay? Now, and you got to remember, I started this show when I was still in my 40s, so I was still, I consider myself a kid, and I got into radio even before that, so, but I consider myself a kid, the next generation. And I doubt that Shirley MacLaine, although she may, or, I'm not picking on Shirley, I'm just saying that generation, 70 years old and above, 60 and above, 70 and above, she doesn't know who Soundgarden is. You know what I mean? She just doesn't. She couldn't hum a bar of Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden, right? She couldn't do it. And or Rage Against the Machine, or we can go even newer than that, Okay, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But that was the goal. The next generation, because I am that next generation, and there's also a generation or two that is even younger than me, right? And how do you do that? Well, first you have to be yourself. And that's a difficult thing to do. Okay, but just be yourself. And when you do that, you will find your audience and you will make friends. You will build a family. But first and foremost, you have to be yourself so that others that are out there that are listening to you and the guests that you have on the show realize that you are just being you. You're not acting. You're not trying to be something that you're not. And that's our goal. If we could just do that, and just be yourself, because it's a daunting thing. Listen to what I'm saying. I had to sit down and think to myself: is it possible that there would be just one person out there, just one, who would understand Fear of a Black Hat, Ice Cube, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Eddie Van Halen, Travis Walton, The Rain Song, Rendlesham, Elvis, all of the Elvises, all of them, 50s, Vegas, and Aloha via satellite, all of the Elvises. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Nazi UFOs, Mene, Narmer, and Dynasty Zero, Göbekli Tepe. You know what I mean? The Thunderbirds are go. And if I could figure that out and throw in maybe Captain Crunch, Peanut Butter Crunch, right? And if just be yourself, because these are the things that are me. Barbecues, family, chilled vodka. And if I could just be me and let everybody know out there what this is about and where I am coming from, and trying to find those out there that are like me, the next generation, right? And the generation below that, and that those youngsters out there would look up to me and go, dude, he's pretty cool. I get where he's coming from, man. I really do. Captain Crunch, Peanut Butter Crunch, Billy Meyer, and Rage Against the Machine, dude. Dude is cool, right? Okay, so anyway, that's the secret. The secret is that just be yourself, right? And worrying about if I'm going to find somebody out there, if I'm going to find somebody out there like me, that's the wrong thing to worry about, to concern yourself with. You erase your mind of that. You're not supposed to care. You just do your thing. You don't trip. You don't push it. You just don't. You just go and do your thing. Because I know that the answers for ufology and lost history and Göbekli Tepe and time travel and near-death experiences and parallel worlds and ghosts and Bigfoot and all these things. Did we go to the moon? All of these things are what I trip on. And if I could just project that, we would get the audience. And what would I do to help push that along? Well, you go out and you find the next generation. And they have been seeking us out too. Suddenly, things started to click. Okay? What have we accomplished? Well, actually, a lot. And because we haven't pushed it, we haven't forced it, we haven't advertised, we haven't done anything. We just had a little plan about uniting the community, finding the next generation, building on that, and having a lot of fun doing it. Okay? Because we have introduced so many groundbreaking, game-changing guests. The next generation, the list is so long, but we've been so successful at it that we get calls from conferences, other shows, TV networks, all wanting access to our guests, to our methodology. How are we doing it? Why? What's our plan? How do and how do you find? It's crazy, but we have done it. We have. Of course, there's Modern Masters and UniWiki, Troika. How amazing was that? Disclosure Fest, right? Remember Ambassador Ihani? How about, somebody that we're so familiar with now, but like Jason Quitt, or last night, Justin Deschamps, Stillness in the Storm. And this is, I could list literally 200 first-time guests here, groundbreaking next-generation guests. But we get it, and that is our goal here at Fade to Black. Point number 6 in our list. Find the next generation and unite them. That's what we do. Yeah. I like talking about weed. I like talking about fun. I like talking about partying and hanging out. When we do all of those things and we're hanging out and the community is together, what are we doing? JC, you are falling into the trap of ageism. Your age doesn't define what you get into. Wait a minute. I'm the definition of that. I'm the definition of that. I'm 53, and I don't even like saying my age because I feel a little smarter, but I'm exactly the same person that I was when I was 21, 20, 19, 18 years old. I'm the same person. I really am. I like doing all of those things that I did then. I like playing with toys. I have here in the bunker's full of model cars and toys and music and things, and that, it's the truth. And anybody that knows me will tell you that. And so when we get together, we talk about Bigfoot or UFOs. We're looking in the skies. We have night vision. We're having these eclectic conversations about the world and what's going on. And all I have been able to, if there's one thing that I've figured out, the one secret about this show and how much fun it is, the success has come with it. It's a byproduct. We haven't looked for that. What is great is that we have united the community and the next generation. And tonight, I'm going to present to you Teresa Yanaros. Okay, it's going to be a great conversation. Just like Justin last night, all of the guests in the past and all of the guests in the future, this is the next generation. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be right back with Teresa Yanaros. Oh, yeah, divine frequency. It's all good, and I'll be right back. Follow me on Twitter, @JChurchRadio. Simple enough, @JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Teresa's supposed to be here. And she's not. Trying. Something is going wrong. There you go. Woo! Fade to Black. Nothing like live radio, man. Nothing like it. You notice I don't even trip anymore. I just don't even trip. All right, Teresa Yanaros is a multimedia enthusiast and writer with a passion for uncovering the truth behind the headlines. She graduated from UTA, I guess that's University of Texas. Is that Austin? With a BA in journalism. Yanaros is an advocate for spiritual enlightenment, shares inspirational perspectives through her YouTube channel, Divine Frequency. Teresa's family was stationed at RAF Woodbridge, that's right, Rendlesham, in 1980 during the famous incident. Due to this fact and her military and spiritual upbringing, Teresa has always had an intense passion for researching UFOs, government conspiracies, and esoteric topics. Her recent projects include spiritual coaching, a dissemination of disclosure, outing of deep state atrocities, and collaboration with the Full Disclosure Project and other souls aligned with her vision of actively seeking a positive co-creative future. Her website is thedivinefrequency.com, and I would like to welcome to Fade to Black for the first time, the one and only Teresa Yanaros. Teresa, good evening.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good. Now, you gave me a little scare there at the beginning of the show, but it's all good. First off, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. It's just you and I sitting on my couch, and Rita is down the hall in her office listening to this, and it sounds strange, but it's just you and I sitting on my couch, having a conversation as friends. Where it starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it. So are you my psychologist or am I your psychologist?
That's exactly the point. I'm going to be the one with the clipboard.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm going to be the one with the clipboard. To kind of kick things off, I'm going to actually go a little bit backwards because you and I have very, very similar backgrounds. I'm an Army brat. I grew up on military bases, about half of my life on military bases around the world. And that was the only life that I knew, right, and understood. The off-base civilian world was foreign to me. You know, that was a weird world to venture out into. And you did the same thing. How did that kind of change your worldview? Because I think Army brats and Army children and Army families, military families, are a very unique breed. How did it affect you?
That's a great question. I have two older sisters and a younger brother, and we were all extremely close because we moved around together as a family all over the place. We lived in England, we lived in Virginia, all over the place. And coming out of the military when my dad retired, I mean, we were the most well-behaved kids of all the neighborhood kids because we were raised in the military, but we were also really close. And I think that when you're raised in a military family, that's something that you really get because you're each other's best friends because you're moving around together.
That's right. Yeah, it's a big deal. And it also probably allowed you to make friends easier, to understand people, to read through people, and also to adjust your personality. You know, you could change your clothes between city and city and become a whole new person if you wanted to.
You had to make friends very quickly because when you moved to a new area, you weren't going to be there for very long. And a lot of the people that we made friends with were people from all over the world because they were also military brats. So,
yeah. And you know what's weird about that is I would in some ways be really jealous about some of my friends that, you know, had been through, you know, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, junior high school to get with the same friends. And I was jealous of those friendships, of being in the same house and living next door to each other for 15 years. I never got to enjoy that, but they were very jealous of me, you know, coming from another country or, you know, another state, and we're all into that too as well. The grass is always greener, right?
It seemed so alien to have them have groups of friends that they were born and raised with. They'd have pictures from when they were babies together. And I'm thinking, yeah, we don't have that. But then again, they were jealous of us because we were so close with our siblings. They didn't have the same environment where we would stand up for each other so much. They would have sibling rivalry, whereas we would not. So
I have a friend that I've known for many, many, many years, 30, 35 years, that grew up in the neighborhood. I'm going to say his name right now. His name's Jim. And his best friend was named Kurt. They grew up together in the same neighborhood. When I say grew up, okay, same age, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? All the way through high school, lived a block apart. Today, they are 51 years old, and they bought houses next door to each other, right? It's just like,
that's adorable.
Dude, somebody should have died by now, right? But, yeah, the military world is a trippy one. And what about the conspiracy side of the military-industrial complex? What did your dad do?
He was a fighter pilot. He flew A-10s, and yeah, he was a lieutenant colonel, so he's pretty high up. He worked at the Pentagon for a little bit. And yeah, I was always raised to believe in aliens. I always believed in them. We watched X-Files in our household. And because my family was stationed there where Rendlesham Forest, that incident happened, that was before I was born, but I was just sort of born into a family where that was always a big question. Like, what was that? Was it an alien? Was it a UFO, or what was that? And then as I got older and started asking more questions, it was like, wait a second, was that our government?
Right.
Was that actually something that we created and built? And so those questions were always sort of a part of me.
So your dad's an A-10 pilot, a Warhog pilot, which is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
What was his take on UFOs?
Well, I think he believes. We would, as kids, try to get him to tell us stuff, and he would joke and say, "Oh, I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you first." I always thought that was really funny. But my dad's very open-minded. He's amazing. I've learned a lot from my dad. I think he's been kind of seeding me for a long time with books and information to help me along my spiritual journey. So I really look up to my dad.
Okay, but you kind of didn't answer the question. Does he believe in UFOs? And I understand that whole joke, right? If I told you I'd have to kill you, I get that, and I can read between the lines. But did he ever see anything flying? Does he believe in ET? And what's his take on it?
From my understanding, he has not seen anything. From what I know, he hasn't seen anything. But I do know that he does believe in UFOs. Yes, we have a lot of fun conversations. And my dad was actually the one who bought me the Rendlesham Forest book when it came out. He's really into Nick Pope.
Right. Well, what's his number? Let's call him.
I wish we could, but my dad is
kind
of out in the mountains. Let me text him.
I want to get Colonel Yanaros on the phone. So
Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah, excuse me. So, and because you are doing what you're doing now, obviously he knows what's going on with your life. What are those conversations like? Is he Is he happy that you're, dipping your toe in this water? To quote Justin Deschamps from last night, is he cool with it? And how about your mom and the rest of your family?
That's a great question. This has been a whirlwind for me because as I have started being like really open and upfront about my beliefs in aliens and UFOs and everything, I've had to have these conversations with my family, right? So with my dad, it's been super fun because he's stoked and we've had so many more conversations. I feel like we've become even closer in the last 6 or 7 months because we have so much to talk about. And so that relationship has definitely started thriving. My mom, it's so much fun because she is, a good Catholic woman. She's a teacher and everything. And she's obviously very interested in my life. She's a great mom. So she watches my YouTube channel and she asks me questions and I get to have amazing conversations with her. As far as the rest of my family, my siblings, we're all into UFOs. My sister, she goes to Roswell and stuff like that. So my siblings are super excited as well. We have lots of great conversations.
Now, I wanted to ask you really quick, UTA, is that University of Texas, Austin? What is that?
UT Arlington. We call it UT almost.
Okay, UT. Okay, that was good. Okay. And a journalism major, that's a pretty unique thing. Now, when you were getting into why the choice of journalism, and you could have gone in any number of directions. You could have written, you could have become you got into the news, Entertainment Tonight, red carpet host. There's lots of different things that you can do with that. And here you are into the spiritual way of things. What was your original goal?
Well, it kind of all started for me back in 5th grade. I started a newspaper. I just started writing things and then it expanded out and I started the whole school newspaper and then it just kept going. And then I was in publications and I was an avid reader and writer. I was an obsessive writer. And by the time I was in high school, I didn't really like high school all that much, but I really wanted to go to college. So I graduated early when I was 16 and the first class I took was an English course and I was super excited about it. And the paper that I wrote was about how we needed to critique the images and messages that we were receiving in the media and make sure that we were doing a deeper dive and finding the truth behind the headlines, because I was very passionate about this my whole life. And so that sort of is what moved me in that direction. And so here I am now.
Right, and the journey that you're on, obviously, there was that epiphany, and you hear me. You're a fan of the show. You hear me ask this with so many different guests. I want to know from everybody because it's different every time. What was it that made you take this left turn or this right turn and go into this direction? What was that moment?
There are so many moments that I could choose, but I think the largest moment for me was a book that I read called Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. And it was about reincarnation, but not really reincarnation. It's much deeper than that. It essentially was a dialogue about what happens after death. And when I was reading this book, I started to have uncontrollable out-of-body experiences. And it was such a huge awakening experience for me. And I started writing a book. And when I started to write this book, it just started expanding more and more. And I started having not just out-of-body experiences, but when I was dreaming, I was learning how to astral project, like project out of my body and be able to control my dreaming and all of that. And so that's sort of what started all this. I wrote my book and then I started my YouTube channel. And then at some point, and this goes back actually to what you were saying before you brought me on the show tonight, Jimmy, you said, be yourself. And when you're yourself, you find your audience. And when I first started my YouTube channel, I was kind of releasing sanitized content. And then at some point I decided, you know what? I'm just going to talk about aliens. I'm just going to start talking about what I really want to talk about. And I made a video about the Rendlesham Forest Incident. And when that happened, I have to tell you, Jimmy, it changed my life because all of a sudden I started attracting my community. People started emailing me and telling me I was also there. And I was connecting with people that were just like me, that had the same stories, that had the same upbringing. And it was such an amazing experience. And that has been the catalyzing event for what's happened to me in the last 6 months, really.
Well, see, and that's always part of it, Teresa, is once you get comfortable in your own skin, right? You're not trying to be somebody that you're not. You're not trying to do something that you're not comfortable with. And you're also wondering if you're freaking people out, right? But if the audience comes back and goes, hey, right on, right? It's like, oh, and the pressure is off. Just be yourself. That's the same advice I would give to anybody, and it's really the truth. But it's a tough nut to learn.
Well, what I find from a lot of people that I talk to that are going through their journey is that they're afraid, and I was afraid too, they're afraid of what their friends and family are going to think. And when I let go of that fear and I just leaned in,
right,
it actually turned out really well for me. And I'm not saying that it's going to turn out well for everybody. I'm not standing up here on my soapbox saying, oh, do this because it's going to work out just fine. I'm just saying I can just tell you my experience. And in my experience, it actually strengthened a lot of my relationships because I was able to be more authentic about everything that I was able to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And it was actually engaging people around me. And I was able to have even more of a dialogue, which was very powerful within those relationships.
Now, one of the things that it's so much enjoy talking about and getting to the audience is this age of disclosure that we're in right now. And the next generation, look, I have, Rita and I have a couple of daughters, and that absolutely 100%, without a doubt, know that we are not alone in the universe. They know that ET is here. They know that aliens are real. They know it is ingrained in them. So much so, asking them if they believe in it, it's just like this redundant, stupid, rhetorical question, right? Do you think that represents your generation and those that are around you, that it is almost a passé conversation?
Generally speaking, I agree with you. I think that, we've been beating a dead horse for a while. I also find out, if you think about the internet was created. And when that happened, all of the people that had experienced UFOs started talking about it. So it brought all the people of the world together where they were able to collaborate, corroborate, and get on the same page. And then you have all this media that started to come out about aliens. And then at a certain point, it just sort of shifted where it's like, okay, we get it. We understand. So I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you a question for me. So in our community, we've got all these young, hip, cool members of our audience, right? And do they look up to me like the cool dad? Or am I just the weird uncle? Am I the old guy in the room? Am I the old guy in the room, or do they think that I'm hip and cool?
You're the cool uncle. There it is.
Okay, the cool uncle. Not the cool uncle that you're not supposed to talk to. Not that one. I mean the cool uncle that you're supposed to talk to.
Well, I guess those of us in this disclosure community, maybe we're the siblings and the family members that nobody should be talking to. Just kidding. But I do have to say, as a representative of the millennial generation, I know that I've heard a multitude of people from my generation, especially in the last couple of months, being activated to pursue their soul calling. So you're asking about the younger generation, you're connecting to the younger generation, you're pulling us up to have these conversations with us. So I feel like it's a perfect opportunity. And I know that this is your show, but I have to fall into the journalist role for just a second to get a chance to ask you a question. Because I think it's important to the people listening right now that are a part of the millennial generation. What was it that activated you? I think it was less than 15 years ago when you started Fade to Black Radio. What was it what was that catalyzing point for you that made you decide to get up and just do it?
Okay. Well, there's an easier answer. It could get complicated, but it's actually a pretty easy answer. It's very fundamental, which is I always knew that I was going to do this. I mean, I'm going back 30, 40 years ago. I always knew that I would have a paranormal talk radio show. The problem was there were other guys out there that were doing it that were successful. So I had to weasel my way into it. There was always a game plan. So my first step was to convince Rita to allow me to change careers and get into radio. So I did that via sports. And I thought that sports was always looking for new sportscasters, and it would be a way for me to get my foot in the door. Once I got my foot in the door, then I would do an about face. So it was I wanted to do sports, and then, which I did, but then combine that with entertainment and UFOs and conspiracy. That was the grand plan. Rita thought I had lost my mind, but she... because things were going really good with the sports stuff, and things were cool, and and the opportunity was there, and we took it, and we decided that we were going to do a sports and UFO show. I know it sounds weird, but it goes back to my original thing that I said when I opened up the show tonight. If I could just be myself, and myself is all of these things. So the plan was always to do it. It was just when and where and how it was going to happen, and it just happened to click. I think this is our 4th or 5th year doing this particular show.
Do aliens play sports?
Yeah. If you look, of course they do. If you look here, I don't know if you can see the bunker cam, but if you look on the bunker cam. Here's my ET playing golf. That's him with his golf. A gray alien posed for this sculpture. So that was, and then here is there is my gray alien Peyton Manning. I don't know if you can see that on the video camera, but everybody else can see it. And so that's Peyton Manning, ET playing football right there. So of course ET plays sports.
I love how you had such a specific answer to that question, and that is why you're Jimmy Church.
Well, and again, I don't hold, this is what I enjoy about you and those that are around you, like, Sabrina and Sterling, two of the coolest people in our community. And of course, like Jordan, but when we go... and you look at all the Jordans that I know. There's like 5 Jordans involved with this show, and that are friends, that are all cool, musicians, young, hip, but I just enjoy being around because that generation seems to really, your generation seems to know an awful lot. And when I hear you speak, when I watch your videos and I see you interview, you're on top of your game. How did you start doing the research? And do you read every single day?
I do. I'm an avid reader. I love to read. Let's see. I started off, I guess it was maybe 5 years ago, I started learning about the pyramids and pyramid power. And that was super interesting. And then I started learning a lot about reincarnation. And I have a slew of books. I love to read. I really do. So read all the time. I'm reading The Law of One right now, and I skipped ahead to book 4, and I'm learning about tarot, Law of One. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Heavy stuff. Good stuff, though. Throwing this back to you, though. The amount of knowledge that is out there in ufology is pretty deep. The older generation, they know a lot about a lot. But the younger generation, it seems to me that not only do they know about the past historically, but they also have very strong opinions and are combined with an open-mindedness. Why is that a product of this generation? It's not like that with the older generation. Everybody's so hard and fast, but it's not that way these days.
Let me break it down. Okay, you have my group of friends, and we have so many different platforms for communication that it makes it really efficient. It makes us really effective as a group when we're trying to find truth and we're trying to discern and take apart something and break it down and really figure out what we think. We can do it as a community, and we can do it through text. We can do it through a Facebook message. We can do it on a Skype call. We just have so many different ways. Like we can record it via audio and send it via text. And it makes it so much easier, I think, to funnel through all of this information. We're a generation built off of the internet. I mean, I remember when the internet was created and I built a community. I was really into Harry Potter when I was 11. So I built a website where people could come talk about Harry Potter, and I generated my own online community. This is our generation. This is what we do. So it's not like anything off the wall for us. It's who we are. And we are hungry for data. We're hungry for information. I used to call us the age of information, but I don't even think we're the age of information anymore. I feel like we're the age of disclosure. And disclosure is a mindset. It's a consciousness. It's a choice. When you are disclosure, you are tapping into uncovering what is hidden. And that is what we're here to do. Just keep going, keep going. And within this, and I'm going to drop Justin Deschamps's name, stillness in the storm, being still in the storm, being still while you are learning and while you're growing, right. Finding that place within yourself where you can be while all of this crazy stuff is happening. There's so much crazy stuff happening.
Well, there's one other thing, and we're going to hit a break here in 60 seconds. I'll make the question quick, which is this. Older presenters, researchers, and authors, they don't like to share. They don't like to instruct. They don't like to teach. They like to be the center of attention and be the owner of the information. This next generation, which I'm so proud of, the way that you handle things and others, is you guys are trying to teach each other. You guys are trying to share. That's the goal. And I just got to commend you for that. But why the difference? Why are you guys so cool? And did you learn something from the other generation, the older generations, that they weren't teaching and you guys were going to do things different?
Absolutely. The disclosure is within us. We are I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this, but it's within you. And what I tell people is you are the magician of your life. You have it with the power within you to find your soul purpose and drive that through. And that's what we're teaching as a community to each other. And we're helping to get together and drive that through as a collective.
There you go. Let's take a break right here. Teresa. Yeah, Teresa, you say your name different than I do. I say it correctly. Say your last name.
It's Yanaros.
It's not Greek. Yanaros. It's Yanaros.
Okay, whatever you want, Jimmy. It can be Yanaros today.
Yanaros. Our guest tonight, Teresa Yanaros. Perfect. And we're gonna take. Oh, what's wrong with my audio? Oh no! Don't even tell me. Oh, gremlins, man. Gremlins, Teresa. That's the next lesson you need to learn. They're everywhere. Have you heard about fairies? We'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
Our guest tonight, Teresa Yanaros. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Teresa after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. the real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Teresa Yanaros. Hey, I got it right.
You did great.
Yeah, I feel better. It's funny because I was introducing you a couple of weeks ago, and I said Yanaros, and you were so great. You didn't correct me. You could have, but you didn't. What I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you noticed, but I was standing in the crowd watching you do some sessions with tarot cards, and I just kind of blended in and I watched you for a while. Did you see me in the background?
I did not. I get really focused when I'm working with people.
Okay, I was totally intrigued on your approach to this and your openness on what you are doing and the worksheet and the way that you are interacting with somebody that you're doing that with. How did you develop that? And, well, actually, explain to everybody what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about my workshop with the worksheet?
When you were sitting at the table.
Oh, during the eclipse?
Yes.
I don't know what worksheet you're talking about, but I don't use tarot as like divining the future. I think people have a lot of misconceptions about tarot. It's not actually woo-woo at all. It's not about divining the future. It's about understanding the soul journey. And you can use the cards which represent archetypes, which are basically just structures of development. And when you lay them out on a table, it helps you to gain perspective about your external and internal influences so that you can come up with creative ideas. So I use it as a coaching tool to help people feel like they're in control of their life. They can see it from the top down, and then it helps them kind of dive deep into what's going on so that they can come out on the other end with some ideas of how to actually resolve the issues that they're trying to resolve.
Yes, and what I was referring to with the worksheet was when you went through the cards during your presentation, you had this interactivity with the audience, with the worksheet explaining the cards too as well. Again, you're teaching instead of trying to hold the knowledge back.
Right. So the workshop that I gave was just diving into the 22 major arcana archetypes, which are, so the deck is separated into two sections. There's the minor cards, which is learning about the soul in relation to itself, and then the major cards, which are learning about the soul in relation to the cosmos. And what I wanted to do is a deep dive into, it's basically the alphabet. If you think about A to Z, you have the 22 major arcana, and that's your A to Z of your soul development as a human being. So you start from the very beginning and you go all throughout your life. You travel through these archetypes and you hopefully become these archetypes as you grow. So the workshop was a deep dive in a soul assessment, a life review, if you will. So you're going through from the beginning of your life through to who you are now, and you're assessing what you've gone through. And what this does is it helps you think about, okay, did I miss the mark? Did I embody this archetype 100%, or did I not? Was there something that I generated that was a limiting belief system based off of an experience that I had that I need to go back and heal? And so it was a deep dive for people. People were coming up to me afterwards and telling me that they were having epiphanies about things that they were able to let go of.
Now, and you are speaking to an audience that is divided in age groups, right? And so you have the old. This is what was really fun for me to watch, was the older generation coming up to you going, wow. Well, now they're listening to somebody that is much younger than them, but they get it, and you are able to explain it in that way. Now, that's a pretty heavy position to be in. Are you comfortable with that?
I come from a background of corporate training, luckily. So I feel like I'm pretty well equipped for where I am now. I'm really excited that I have the background that I have because I learned so much. I was training people on accounting, and that was all different ages as well. And I have a lot of experience in that. And now I get to train people in conscious stuff that I'm really excited about. So it's a really fun shift for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love accounting.
Well, the older crowd, and I know I keep going back to this, but I feel like I'm the young guy in the room with them, and sometimes I get a little intimidated by some of the knowledge that is running around out there. So I tend to back off a little bit and show them respect. I'm much more comfortable with the younger crowd because I feel like I'm the young guy in the room. But what I have noticed is there is a generation gap, and do you notice the same thing? We do have a really nice foundation of millennials, the 30, 35 and under, maybe the 40 and under crowd. But the 40 to 60 group is missing. It's like a chunk. And then you immediately jump to an older generation. Why do you think that is?
Let me say something really quick. Back to what you were saying before, because I don't feel like I'm intimidated by the older generation because I'm not an expert. I'm a student. Right. I'm a student of the tarot. And I think what people need to understand, and this is what I think the younger generation, hopefully they do get, is that when we are authentic and we are ourselves, like you were saying before, we don't have to feel fear about what we don't know. When we lean in and we communicate with each other in an open way, and there's no fear about, oh, what if I come across as sounding stupid or not knowing? If you can let that go, you're going to learn so much more and grow so much faster. And I respect the older generation because they're very open. They got out of their chair and they're asking a 30-year-old a question because they don't have that mindset. So I just need to speak to that for a second. But yes, I agree with you. There is a generation gap for sure. I don't know what that means, but that's the same in churches too, I've noticed.
No, it's weird, and I don't know. What I equate it to is probably the internet, because before the internet came along, ufology, the spiritual movement that was started in the 70s and blended into the 80s, it didn't have anywhere to go. And so it probably didn't expand and skipped a generation right there. The internet comes along, and who gets technology? Millennials, right? They are born with it. And you probably don't remember a life before remote controls. You don't remember a life before MTV or cable television. You don't. You embrace technology, and that allowed the knowledge to spread. And so the younger generation gets it and are united because they have access to technology and knowledge. Oh, did I lose Teresa? Sure enough, I did. Okay, let's just do this. Wow, absolutely dropped, but you know what? That's why we have technology here. I'm going to bring her back. Yeah, very strange with technology these days. I'm sitting here talking about technology, and then it just literally failed me at that moment. But it's really a trippy thing where we went through a period of I don't know how to explain this, but we went through a serious period of attendance at conferences started to drop off, and it was the access to information. It was magazines and it was books, and that was a way to get it, but it didn't really pull everybody together. Now today, this community is united from around the world at the same time via the internet, where now you can communicate with Teresa, talking about technology, and it just went away on us.
Are you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just saying that I think it's important that we find a way to bridge that gap and step away from separatism and find community in a physical sense.
And it's really cool that this next generation, they know that they can reach out to members of the community not only across town but around the world all at the same time. You know, this technology has a way of bringing us all together as opposed to getting separated. And I think the previous couple of generations probably started to get separated because it was books and it was magazines and flying across the country, snail mail, newsletters and that's the way it was done. Today, it's a different kind of party. And your generation totally gets that. And they share information quickly and want to communicate with each other through technology.
It's interesting because we're able to find the people around the world that are like us, that are interested in the same things. And so we generate a worldwide community. And then the next step becomes, okay, now I found all of my cool peeps. Now how do I get to be around them physically? And so then I think that's what's fun about the UFO community with all these conferences, because we get to and hang out in person and come from all over the place.
Yeah, isn't it? I want to move on to the soul journey, but that's something else that I wanted to ask you about because you are so new to conferences and you go to these conferences. Isn't it pretty amazing how you can look around? You've heard all these rumors about the old gray-haired, blue-haired, attendees. But you go to these conferences, that simply isn't the case these days, is it? I mean, the youngsters are so represented. They are so awakened.
It's amazing. I've met so many cool people. It's amazing. I've met some of my best friends in the last 6 months, for sure.
How did we meet?
Oh, my gosh. This is actually a really funny story, Jimmy, and I have a picture that I'm going to have to send you because actually, it's a video. Okay, the first time I actually met you, I was hanging out at your house. You weren't even there. You were gone. I was there at Contact in the Desert with peeps. And then you came in to say it was time to leave. You and Rita were leaving. And you were in the doorway. And I walked up. I had my jean jacket on. And I said, Jimmy Church, before you leave, will you sign my jean jacket? And you said, why, yes, I will. And I pulled my phone out and I took a video of you signing my jacket.
Oh, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the first time? Okay.
That was the first time we met.
I do remember that. Okay. All right. That was 2 years ago at Contact in the Desert. Right. Or last year.
It was this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Wow, why was I thinking it was last year? Where is the time gone? I was thinking it was last year. But, okay. And the thing is, when I walk around Contact and I see what I see, but the critics out there that are going to say that ufology is dying and the conferences aren't getting attended and things are different now and it's not what it. And I look around, I'm thinking, I don't understand why they want to say these things, because it's simply not true. Or maybe they've got blinders on and they don't want to admit to really what's going on. But I think the next generation is strong with their feet on the ground and awakened. Their eyes are open and they're well represented. That's the way that I feel.
Well, I have to tell you something, Jimmy. I think that the younger generation, I mean, it's crazy because I feel like I'm pretty grounded. I'm pretty down to earth. I'm not up there, out there in the clouds. I feel pretty grounded in this world. And I have to say, in the last 2 months, I actually had I don't even know if it was a dream, but a pretty interesting contact experience with ETs that like a month later, I found out that some of my friends, without me even saying anything, they started mentioning these same beings that were visiting them. So I think that this whole UFO community's dying out, that's not happening at all, because I think actually contact is increasing in my field, in my experience. So
now,
I don't know about that.
Yeah. And what have you seen?
It was really interesting because I have really vivid dreams, but in this particular dream, this was actually like a week after contact in the desert that this happened. I'm standing in a field and I'm standing next to my best friend, Kim, and it's like an apocalypse had happened. There were fires, people are screaming, running around. It's dark, it's nighttime. These black helicopters are flying overhead. And I know what's going on, and no one else knows what's going on. And my best friend's asking me, Teresa, what's happening? And I said, well, the ETs are here because some stuff went down and they're trying to help us. But the military are trying to kill the aliens because they're afraid. And so the black helicopters, they're shining these lights down. I see the guys shining lights down, trying to find the ETs so that they can kill them. Well, the helicopter over my head, there were 2 guys in it, crashes on the ground in front of me. And everybody runs over to the crashed helicopter. And me and Kim go and run into one of the buildings. I said, it's time to get out of here. We go into the building and we're trying to find a light. And then a guy comes in, turns on the light. And at that moment, I thought, I wish Jordan was here. And Jordan's my boyfriend, for those of you who don't know. And so as soon as I say, I wish Jordan was here, all of a sudden, boom, I wake up in my bed. But it was like, I didn't know if I was awake or asleep because the room was very hazy. Now, normally I can tell when I'm having an astral experience, but this was very hard for me to discern. And I turned to my right, but everything is exactly how it actually is in my room. I turn to the right, there's Jordan sleeping next to me. But I look beyond him to the window, and it's like there's something shadowy outside the window. And I'm thinking, is there somebody outside my window? And I think Jordan's asleep, but then his lips move and he says, they're coming inside, aren't they? And as soon as he said that, I was like, whoa, that's really creepy. And I said, yes. And when I said yes, they dematerialized outside my window. They rematerialized inside my room. It was 5 of them. There were 2 in the front, 3 in the back, and they were grays, but they had blue shimmery skin. They were about 5 feet tall, and they were just standing there, very still, not moving. And I'm sensing the environment. I'm sensing the energy. Are they here to hurt me? What's going on? I don't really sense much. It was very neutral. And after a few minutes of this, I thought that they were going to take Jordan. So I grabbed his arm. And as soon as I grabbed his arm, all of us dematerialized out of my room and rematerialized in a white circular room. Now, Jordan and I are standing across from each other, and there are 5 ETs on the left side, 5 ETs on the right. So there are about 10 of them total. We're in a circle, and there's like a big ether ball in the center, like an orb up at the top, a little bit above our heads. And we're all connecting to this ball, and we're mind melding. And they're like teaching us how to mind meld. And I can sense their thoughts telepathically through this ball. This goes on for a while. And then after a while, I shoot up out of bed. And what I found out later was that Jordan had woken up maybe 5 seconds before I had. I wake up out of bed and I was wide awake. It was like my circadian rhythms were completely off because I go in the kitchen to make coffee and I realize it's 2:17 in the morning. So I turn around and I go back in the room. And Jordan says to me, wow, I had a really weird dream that a black helicopter flew over my house. I was laying in my bed. Yeah. And I said, I'm sorry, what did you say? And he said, I was laying in my bed at my childhood home and I could see through the ceiling and a black helicopter flew over my head. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. And I told him what happened.
And did he bring up an orb?
No, he just had the experience of the black helicopter. He didn't have any shared memories of anything else but the black helicopter.
Right.
But I have to say it was weird because the night before I had that experience, it was the first time I ever saw an orb. And I saw an orb in my room Jordan and I were sitting on my bed, and I saw it behind Jordan, and it was right in the location where the beings showed up that night.
Wow. Orbs are a trip. Okay, what's your take on what orbs are? Oh, when we were, okay, I think some of the audience knows, Teresa and Jordan were up at ESETI with us. We had a lot of incredible experiences that weekend. We're up at ESETI with us, and Rita, and we were all there. Did you see the gray orb that night out on the field that I saw?
I did not see the one you saw, but I did see one.
Okay. What's going on there? What's your take on orbs?
I don't know. Are they beings? Are they like energetic beings? Because that's kind of what it seems like to me. I don't know if they're like their own ships. Like when I think about humans and I think about the spiritual concept of the rainbow body and how we're our own Stargate and all of that kind of concept, it makes sense that maybe these orbs are also that. It's just kind of on a different plane than us, but we can see them when we are at a heightened perspective. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm depending on your generation on this one. That whole thing that was the first time I've ever seen an orb, and to see it like that in such dramatic fashion, it was so big and it was real, and to have everybody else see it at the same time, no night vision, nothing. It just appeared. Was a pretty mind-melding thing to go through. That was a game changer for me. That thing appeared, it was real, it was there, and it lasted for about 5 seconds. And I didn't know what to make of it. The other part that was trippy for me was it was 2D, right? It was flat. It was like the 2D orbs you see in photographs. And I had to take a step back, and it really messed with me when everybody else started saying those things. Is anybody watching these gray orbs? I was like, oh, man. Oh, no, right? So I don't know. And because you see them in different environments, right? You see them in your home, or we're out on sacred land at ESETI. The Yakima Indian Reservation is there. It's a magical place. So is it something interdimensional? Is it a spirit? Is it connected to the Indians? I don't know. Is it E.T. coming down to say hello to us at the ESETI Ranch? I have no clue. I
think all of that you're saying is connected.
Sure.
All of everything.
Sure.
You said, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw one in my room, and then I saw one in my room that was really up close. And then when I was leaving Eclipse of Disclosure, I actually saw one in the sky.
The other stuff that we were watching up at ESETI. Oh man, I wanted to get to Soul Journey. Okay, we'll do that after the break. The other things up at ESETI and other locations, but when we're looking up in the sky like that and seeing some of those, that one night up at ESETI was pretty dramatic for us. You remember the one that flew over low and flashed really bright onto us like a flash bulb. That was
crazy. The purple one? Are you talking about the bright purple one that flashed and then moved out?
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I can't even. I have no idea what was going on there. The other one that flashed 30 times. Remember going across the sky?
Yeah. That was really cool.
And I don't know what to. I don't know what to think about this.
I think that there's a lot that I think it's okay to have the experience to go and say, okay, yeah, there's stuff in the sky. But for me, I'm a down-to-earth, grounded person where it's like, what's the point? Like, what does this have to do with my experience? And why do the listeners even care? You know what I'm saying? And so just in general. And so when you have that experience, it's cool. But then it's like, okay, we need to be focusing on what we need to be focusing on. Like, we're here for a reason. And is it to look at the sky and look at ETs? I don't know. Maybe that's some people's, maybe it's a point in the journey that's important to have.
Right.
But then it's like, now shift. Now what are you focusing on?
Right.
You see that there's something bigger. You're understanding that there's something beyond that you can't quite explain. You're leaning into the unknown, and you're getting to experience that on a conscious level. So that I think is a valuable exercise to go through as a human. But then it's like, next. what are you going to do with your life?
Well,
you know,
what would your generation think of disclosure? I mean, would they be freaked out, or would this just be, whatever?
I think that it's divided because you have people that are so immersed in their lives that they're kind of like, who cares? Like, what does this have to do with me? But then I think when you start asking the questions, when you start to see things click in people's heads, when you're explaining things to them, they start to ask the right questions. And those questions are, wait a second, if we have technology that's hidden from us, then our lives could be a lot easier. And then they start to switch and they go, wait a second, I don't need to be in this hamster wheel if we had these technologies. We could feed everybody. We could, and the list goes on and on and on. So I think that it's sort of divided. And once you take that plunge and you open your mind to understanding the breadth of what's actually going on, then you kind of switch and you go, okay, now there's value in taking this information out to the rest of the world to try to get us all woken up so that we can get on the same page and as a community shine our light of collective consciousness on this darkness and make it smaller and smaller until it goes away.
Well, so what you're suggesting is it would be no big deal, right? It would almost be expected.
I think it's really hard, Jimmy, to make blanket statements like that because I think that it's a spectrum. Consciousness is a spectrum and people are going to have different reactions. And it's hard to look at the world and assume something. I'm going to have to say I don't know because I respect that there is just a huge spectrum of development and maybe some people will be okay with it and some people won't. But let's just say disclosure in the sense that, Trump were to say something that would just shake the world and people would say, okay, now we know whatever it may be, that aliens exist. Like, sure, it's going to freak some people out. Some people will deny it. They'll go into complete denial. Some people will be perfectly okay with it. But I don't think that there's one blanket answer.
Yeah, the only disclosure I need out of Trump is if that is a toupee and how is it glued down. That's real disclosure right there. When we come back, I want to talk about your I don't know how to quite put this, whether it's your instructions or your method or your philosophy of the soul journey. Maybe it's all of the above, but I want to start from the beginning and we're going to go through to the end. And I like your step-by-step presentation with this, and the audience is going to eat this up. So let's do that when we come back. Is that cool?
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Who is it? It's Teresa Yanaros. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Teresa, what's your Twitter?
That's a good question. Oh, Divine Frequency.
Divine Frequency. Follow her at Divine Frequency. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hi, I'm Matt Ray for U.S. Gold Bureau. I cover the market daily. No matter how strong it gets or what long-term predictions say, you can count on one thing as certain. There will be another crash. It will affect your assets. And when it happens, wouldn't you rather be 2 weeks or even 2 months ahead of the curve? Well, Wall Street insiders have been quietly converting their assets into gold for the last few years. Now it's your turn. Buying gold and silver is easier than buying stocks. With the U.S. Gold Bureau's Investor Guide, it's free, and you learn how to buy precious metals in or out of an IRA or 401k retirement plan. Your investment's shipped directly to your home and is 100% insured and guaranteed. You control your investments and shelter them against the stock market, politics, and unknown threats. Act while your dollar is still worth something. Call U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD. U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD, 800-885-GOLD. Call today.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Age of Disclosure. Night number 2. Our guest tonight, Teresa Yanaros. TheDivineFrequency.com is her website, and also her YouTube channel, and links are over on the website. And go check it out. Great interviews and a great YouTube channel. Now, Teresa, your presentation for the soul journey, which was a big part of your presentation, I should say, was amazing. And the audience reaction to it, were you surprised?
I honestly didn't know really what I was getting myself into, because I put together the workshop and it just kind of came out, and I was like, I'm just going to present it and see what happens. It was my first time presenting it because I had just built the system. So it was a brand new system, and I was excited to see how people responded. But I will say, Jimmy, that in putting together this workshop, I had 2 of the biggest epiphanies of my own life. So I had a feeling it was going to have hopefully the same effect on some other people, and it definitely did.
Oh, somebody wants you to say Gobekli Tepe.
Gobekli Tepe? What does that mean?
Okay, there you go. Well, you said it. It's a drinking game. Everybody's got to stay up on the drinks during the show. Okay, so we got that one in. All right.
So every time I say that, people have to drink?
Yes.
Nice.
Say it again.
Gobekli Tepe.
There you go.
You're welcome.
Yeah. The soul journey. Let's start from the beginning, because that's exactly what you do there. Let's start. What is the soul journey? So, yeah, this is a pretty, I can try to cram this into a short description, I suppose, but, soul journey. So the step 1, the source is our true spiritual essence. So when we're coming to Earth, we slow our vibrational intensity through stages, and these stages form subtle bodies. And these are bands of energy that mold around the physical body to assist with integration, if that makes sense. So
it's a toroidal universe. So the human body is a toroidal energy field, and the torus is the form of flowing energy dynamics at every scale of existence.
That's right.
You can observe it in all things. If you think about an apple,
the earth, yes, anything. That is correct.
Exactly. So you've got cosmic energy, which you can call it anything. You can call it, there's so many words for it: prana, chi, ki, great spirit, holy spirit, source, force, all across the board. So you are a soul. You are a finite manifestation of the infinite. You are a cosmic being of source energy, and source energy flows through you. So you're a soul. Your soul exists in the extra physical realm, or what I call the ether. Source energy is channeled through your body and housed within metaphysical centers. I just use the chakra system because it's easy to describe. There are so many, again, different systems you can use. But I kind of use the example of the cardiovascular system. So this circulates oxygen and blood and nutrients throughout the body, and the regulatory organs of the heart and the lungs. So the chakra system circulates source energy through the body, and the regulatory centers are chakras, or nodes that are aligned up the spine, and they carry the energy through meridians, just as the heart carries blood through blood vessels, if that makes sense.
And no, it does. It does. Okay. And well, you said step one. So are you going directly from there to two?
Yes. So you have a soul, and then step two. So you're coming down into earth, and then you have a body. Okay.
Right.
So the next step is you're in your physical body. Now what? You have a mind. And what I like to use is the subconscious. So you come down from source, which is huge, right? Source. And then you come down into your physical body. So think you're really large coming down into finite. And now as you develop your mind, you have to go back out. So you expand out again toward source. So you develop as a child your subconscious mind, which is your thoughts and feelings of yourself. As an adult, then you expand out into developing your conscious mind, which is your awareness. And then moreover from that, you develop your soul, or your superconscious. Another thing you can look at, or another system you can look at, a taxonomy, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is in developmental psychology. You develop the base of your physiological needs, then you move up through safety and security, through love and belonging, through self-esteem, then you reach self-actualization. So there's a whole process that we go through when we come down to this planet. We're developing body, mind, and spirit. And the balance of this is paramount in order to enhance the flow through your journey toward enlightenment.
Now, how do you stay on the right path, though? In other words, well, how when the delivery is completed, right? When the journey, when you come down to the planet, that's completed. Is there a negativity that is there with some, or through the journey, do we take those left and right turns and go bad?
It's all a process. I mean, you wake up every day and you make a choice every single day to get out of bed and live the life you live. So at any moment, you can choose to change your attitude, to change the way that you feel and think, and you are constantly building every step of the way. Right. And when you decide in your mind that you don't want to be what you were, or you want to let something go, you can activate, and you can do that. Absolutely. But I'm glad you asked that question, because to answer your question about like, how do you even navigate this? All of these things happen unconsciously, but you can enhance your experience by shifting these unconscious functions into the realm of your conscious mind. So when you start thinking about thinking, you start being metacognitive, and you start thinking about how all these systems work together,
right? Then
you can influence your body and mind by activating your soul, and you can consciously channel this source energy through your body.
Now, and then we have somebody like, Kim Jong-un, Kim Fatty Fat, obviously took a left turn and stayed on that path. Why does that happen? Certainly he knows right from wrong.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know why anybody would choose to be who they are. I mean, based on your experiences, and you can go through trauma and then not be able to let that trauma go. If you dissociate from the traumas that you go through, which there are lots of traumas that we go through
right.
In our lives, you can just continue. And this is, I believe in reincarnation. I don't know, I'm not trying to impose my beliefs on anybody else at all. But the way that I see it is a lot of these limited belief systems can also be perpetuated over lifetimes. So you can come into this life with, and we talk about nature versus nurture. This is the nature that I'm talking about. Why are you who you are when you're born? Why are you that person? There are some things and preferences that you have that you don't really know how to explain. Well, if you believe in reincarnation, you might say that they've been developed over many lifetimes. So maybe a person that has a negative polarity or doesn't think the greatest about the world around them, they just have so much trauma that they haven't done this self-work. Now, when you choose to do the self-work, you choose to bring these unconscious systems into your conscious mind, you can learn how to improve yourself by letting go of the traumas that you've experienced.
And before we go to step 3, let's stay on step 2 for a second, because you also, in your presentation, talk about your parents and who they were and that influence on you, but also yourself as a child. Take me through that just a little bit.
Yeah, and that's step 3. So, but really quick before we move to that, I will say that when you come to this planet, you have soul amnesia, which can make you feel abandoned, but then you learn about your soul purpose through your life. So when you come down to Earth, you have a few things and I'm going to skip through the tarot part because I get your question. I don't think it necessarily has to do with tarot, and I can try to be broad here. So yes, you have the masculine and feminine within you, and this is before you're born. And what I think about here is that this is the sides of the mind. So you have the logical and rational side, you have the imaginative and the nurturing side. And you think about, without the ground of potential, you cannot create. So these are the forces that come together within you as a person. So now you're inside your mom, then you're born. And the influences that you come in contact with as a child, these are going to develop your belief systems. So you come in contact with who usually your mom and your dad, but it's not necessarily your mom and your dad. Maybe you don't have someone that emanates this perfect archetype that you should have. Hopefully in a perfect world, you have perfect systems to develop your mind off of. But when you don't have that, when you have a lack of some kind of influence that would be beneficial to you as a child, right, then that's going to develop a trauma. So it all comes back to childhood and childhood development as you're learning how to react and interact with people. And then you expand out and as a child into community. Now you're going to school or you're going to church or all of these systems that you start to see how the community works together. And then you start to have partnership. You start to have relationships with people. And as you become an adult, you're trying to balance all of these influences that you've had.
Very interesting. And before I do want to move on to 3, but the other thing is, I think for most people, they need this explained to them. You know what I mean? They just may not get it. They know that there are issues, right? But it actually can be very, very simple if they are just made aware of it. Because even I sat back during your presentation and went, okay, all right. I'm sitting here reflecting back on my own life, and I would have never considered it before.
Well, it's a beautiful thing, and we're already in step 3, just so you know. I just kind of I'm going through it real quick, but yeah, it's crazy, Jimmy. Like when I started looking at the tarot and started really studying the major arcana, these 22 cards that represent the archetypes, which I think for a second we do need to talk about what archetype means. So archetype is a Greek word. Arcane means original or old. Typos means pattern. So it's the original pattern of which all other persons, objects, or concepts are derived. So they're fundamental human motifs of experience. Okay. So when you start looking at these 22 archetypes or patterns that should be emanated in our life, you can start to assess, okay, how was I this archetype at that age? Did I embody that archetype? What does that mean? And by doing that self-assessment and research and really trying to understand what these archetypes are, it can help you because you can say, I think I missed the mark on that. I don't think I had that influence, or I think that I maybe responded in my life in not so positive way. And you can go back and you can heal those wounds and bring your soul all back together as you do this life review. You choose to do this life review in your life, and you can grow so much from it.
Wow. And step 4.
Step 4, profit.
Continue.
It was a joke. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I just blasted through an hour and a half's worth of a presentation. You're welcome.
Step 4, profit. And now it's an amazing thing. And the way that you've explained it, I've done a lot of interviews. And I think that most, with their way of communication, I don't think that they express enough where the information is coming from and why. I think a lot out there, and it's a product of a generation gap, but they want the knowledge to stay within them instead of sharing it. Maybe it's ego, and I don't want to talk down to anybody, but it was the method of doing things. Your approach to it is the exact opposite. It's about, okay, this is what's going on, and this is why, and this is what you can do about it, and here's the knowledge, boom, now go. And it's a totally different approach.
Yeah, I just have to say, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to share this because it's so empowering to myself, and I want to see other people empowered. And there's a level of this that I need to go into, because when you realize that you're chained as an adult, you become chained to this physical existence as far as like material goes. And then something happens in your life where everything shakes apart. Everything is destroyed. And then you have to emerge as your soul. So as your soul takes shape, you realize that there is greatness within you. And when you realize that, you become vital and you connect to who you truly are. And that, my friends, that is when you hear your higher calling. And I've been seeing so many people recently connecting to themselves, connecting to their soul, and then hearing that higher calling. And the next step, because you don't want to sit in that space forever, you need to heed that higher calling. You need to get into sports radio and talk about aliens or whatever it is that is your higher calling. Right. You need to take that step, because that's on you. You are a unique soul. You are a unique blueprint. And if you don't go out and do what you're supposed to do, it's not going to get done. And no one else is going to do that for you. They can't, because they don't have the experiences and the soul attributes that you are. Only you. You are unique. Every person is.
Your knowledge base is too wide for reading only. Are you receiving downloads?
Yeah, I have a history of that actually in my life. I think I've been doing that probably my whole life. I didn't really know what the heck a download was, and I never had that word given to me until like a year ago. And I thought, yeah, I definitely get downloads. I was downloaded when I was 18 with piano. It's a kind of I guess I can make it a short story, but my dear cousin who I was super close with, he died when I was 18. He was also 18. And I went to his funeral and I sat down at his piano. Now, I have to say, full disclosure, I took a few piano lessons when I was 5, but that was it. But, nothing crazy. But I sat down at his piano, and this was right after his funeral, and I just started playing a song. It was like all of a sudden I could play piano, and I know that song in my head. I can play it right now. Like, it was such a vivid experience, and I was connecting to him. And I don't know if I was writing this song for him or if he was writing it for me. But at that moment, I was channeling him or channeling something, and I was learning, and I had just received it.
And what did you think when that happened? I mean, seriously, are you going crazy? Was this real? What's going through your head?
It felt so natural that it actually didn't. That's actually a really good question. I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. That's really interesting, because it didn't really scare me. It was almost like a gift. It felt like a gift, and I was so close with him at that moment, and it was like a sense of relief. I remember, I've never connected. I'm a musician. I'm such a musician, and piano is, I was classically trained on French horn, but piano is my instrument, man. And when that happened for me, it changed my life, because I was now able to express my music in a new way. It took on a new form. It was like a gift to me. It was so empowering that I don't think I was even thinking about it being scary or weird. I was just excited about what I could do.
Can you do it on demand?
Download on demand?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever tried, because my downloads come sporadically, and because I'm a writer, right? And I'll just have to like pull over in the car or get a notebook. I have notebooks all over the place because I quite literally can't concentrate on anything else. I have to write, and it just flows through me, and I write and I write and I write. And that's how it happens.
Wow. That's fascinating, because there's, I want to talk about the medicine wheel. And for the audience, just let me explain something really quick. When I went through that little episode up at ESETI in the medicine wheel, Teresa was one of the instigators of this. Now, she was there, she witnessed, but what I remember in the beginning was you playing the singing bowls. And I remember thinking to myself, she's a musician, because the singing, you're playing an instrument. Now, that was like the last thing that I remember. But and we're going to talk about that. But where did you learn how to play a singing bowl?
Let's see. I got my first singing bowl when I lived in Austin 4 years ago. I went to a Tibetan store, and they had a whole section of Tibetan singing bowls, and I sat down for like an hour and a half playing the bowls, and then I picked one, and I've just been playing it ever since. I love it. And then when we were at ESETI, they had an entire room with these huge singing bowls, and I about lost it. I was so excited, and I immediately just ran over and grabbed one. And then me and the two other girls, we ended up going out to the medicine wheel with them. I was really excited to be a part of that, because I just love music so much. I was excited to be that they even let me, because I know these are really expensive.
That medicine wheel is a pretty special place, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was so cool.
Magical place. Now, we went through, we did a ceremony together. It was about 8 of us plus you 3. So I'm going to say 11. Yep. We had 3 singing bowls. It was Lori, and who else? Who was on the third singing bowl? Allison. Allison. Yeah, that's right. So you 3 are playing the bowls, and there's 8 of us that went through the ceremony and then sat down or stood up. Lori sat down, and you guys started playing the singing bowls. At that point, I don't know, you guys were in unison. You guys are playing this song together, and it was beautiful. It was cool. I immediately departed. I mean, not physically. I was still standing there. I was gone. Do you remember I want to ask what was going through, what you were going through at that moment of the ceremony, because I wasn't there. Were you?
It's funny because I wanted to ask you the same question. It's funny. I have that written down. Anyway, yeah, I was in a super deep meditative state. Like, we were in the center. So let me just give a quick rundown for the listeners. We were playing the singing bowls in a building, and then Lori was going to go out to the medicine wheel to play the bowl, and then me and Allison tagged along. So the 3 of us go out there, and then Jimmy wants to come hang out, so he comes out there and brings the gang. And then Lori knows really well how to go through the medicine wheel and talk about all the different stops and the meditation and everything. So Allison and I went into the center and started playing the bowls. And then everybody approaches us at a certain point. And then Lori also comes in, sits down with us, and she starts playing with us. So it's now all 3 of us playing the bowls. And then Lori starts to sing. It was so cool. She has such a beautiful voice. Yes. And then at that moment, like when she started singing, I just went into, I was already pretty deep in a meditative state, but then I just went super deep. My mind was completely clear. I was just listening to the music, connecting to the vibration. But what did you experience? You still haven't told this story yet.
Nope, not going to. Man,
but it was, one day, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if I will. I was. Well, there's reasons for it, but I was with a group of people over the weekend, and one of them goes out to Joshua Tree, to the retreat center, and is part of that whole yogi spiritual community. With these higher. What do I want to say? Masters. Mm-hmm. And he asked me the same question about the medicine wheel. and he wanted to know. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be rude, or I don't, but I can't talk about it.
Fair enough.
And only because I don't understand it. And this is the other thing. And I want to be very clear here. I didn't ask for this to happen. Okay? And so my expectations, I didn't have any because I didn't know what was about to happen. It just did. I don't know if I would do it again. I didn't want to come back. I'll say that, though. I didn't want to come back. I was forced back into my body at the end, but I didn't want to come back. I did. But that being said, I don't know if I would do it again. I don't like, I was definitely not in control. And look, to be clear, no drugs, no drinking, nothing like that. A completely clean diet. There was nothing involved here. This was pure mind and pure soul. But
right. I think that a lot of people that didn't want to hear a lot of these stories were like, oh, these people were high. And it's like, no, they have a strict no drug, no alcohol policy there. So that's one thing. But yeah, so it sounds like you had this like spontaneous astral projection experience. And I wonder, part of me wonders if like your soul authorizes it. Like maybe your conscious mind, you don't understand, but your soul is activating. So maybe it's like authorized on a higher level that you don't remember.
Right. Well, I don't, that whole out of control thing. I mean, I was not in control, and it caught me by surprise. It was fun. It was amazing. What it did do for me, and to anybody else that experiences this for the first time, it definitely shows you that there is something else going on out there. And all of those gurus and all of those new agey types that talk about meditation in the past, to people, the uninitiated, we never got it, right? You just don't get it until you experience it. Well, like I said, I didn't expect it, and it did. And I have to go back and almost apologize to all of those people that I laughed at over the years that wrote books and movies and documentaries and talked about this kind of thing. And then when you go through it, it's a transformation. But I don't know if I would do it again, though. Not voluntarily, at least.
That happened to me when, like, the first time I had, or I guess it was the second time I had an out of body experience, but I was sleeping in my bed, and then all of a sudden I'm standing next to my bed. This happened like maybe 4 years ago, and I looked down at my body, and I'm like, what the heck? And I look down at the body I'm standing in, and there's like a silver cord from my stomach area to my body. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized, like, am I my soul right now? And I'm looking around, and everything has like an intrinsic quality of light. And I think that there's sunlight pouring in the windows, but then I realize it's not, because every object has its own intrinsic quality of light. And I think, oh my gosh, I'm so light. I can move, I can float. And so I float out the door and down the hallway, and I turn the corner, and I'm looking into the living room, and I see all the couch and all the fibers of the fabric, and I can zoom in on things and see just every little tiny thing. And I go into the kitchen, and I see my plate in the sink where I had accidentally left it the night before. And I laugh to myself, and I think, I'm actually standing in my kitchen right now, because I did not remember that I left that plate there.
Well, see, now when I hear an experience like that, I'm okay with it, because I know what's possible. It's absolutely fascinating. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Teresa Yanaros, and we will be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat. Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Teresa Yanaros, thedivinefrequency.com. That's the website. You can just click over at jimmychurchradio.com. And I want to talk about Rendlesham, but before we do, because we're going to spend a lot of time right there, there's a lot of information, and your direct contact to that is pretty mind-blowing. So we'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to talk about Sabrina and Sterling and the I Believe project that they are working on. Pretty cool stuff. And again, it's the next generation. Did you do your film clip?
I love Sabrina and Sterling. I just have to say, y'all, my girls, shout out to y'all. Yes, I did. I stood in front of the camera and I got super hyped like I do. And I said, I believe in aliens and they're here on this planet. what up? I think that's what I said. I think I said the B word at the end, but they said that they were going to have to cut that out. And I said, fine.
And it's pretty cool to see what they are doing and all of their video blogs, their vlogs that they do. And I'm sure that they're listening right now. And hello, you too. It's been great hanging out with you over the last few months. But pretty great thing to see this generation, this next generation that I keep talking about. But I think it is so important. And their project, the I Believe project, in the end, trying to drive this consciousness forward is a pretty amazing thing to see. And they both are pretty dang talented.
I agree. So what actually is the I Believe project? Isn't it like they're trying to get a bunch of people to basically say that they believe in aliens, and they're going to compile it and they're going to release it?
Yeah, I think that is that. What an amazing goal. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, what impresses me about those two, and they're going to laugh. Those two are like the Spielberg daughters. They got the gear. They got they get set up. They've got all the wireless technology, the microphone, and the cameras, and they're setting up and tearing down and getting shots and framing and editing. It's very impressive, those two.
It means a lot to me because as a journalist myself, I spend a lot of my time taking videos and taking pictures and posting it on social media and helping to boost other people's projects. And it meant so much that they came to my workshop and they took videos and pictures, and they were doing that for me. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah,
they're cool.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get them on the show here if they would allow us to do that. I think we should do that.
That would be fun.
Just an amazing pair of those two. All right, Rendlesham. Now, this is what's trippy for me. Okay, I'm going to ask you some direct questions. I can't wait to hear your answers. What did your mom see? What did your mom know? Because she was, where did your mom work? Trip everybody out right now.
Yeah, so my mom actually worked on base in a building where she could see out the window, and there's where the planes would go by, they would taxi, and then beyond that was the fence, and you could see Rendlesham Forest. So she could just look out her window and see where the UFOs landed. Like, how cool is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So my mom worked there, and then my dad was in the 91st Tactical Fighter Squadron. So he was stationed there. But what's interesting about this anecdote is that my parents remember the incident differently. So there are lots of questions that I have about that, because it begs the question about what was going on. Like, was there mind control going on? I don't know. But my mom doesn't remember being in the country, and my dad remembers going into work the next day. And like basically a few hours after the first incident, which I believe happened December 25th of 1980. And he remembers going in and everybody being completely spooked and talking to the people who, were a part of it. So
wait. What do you mean your mom she remembers being out of the country?
Well, it happened a long time ago and they've moved all over. So who knows if it's just like they remember it differently. But she swears up and down. She's like, I don't even think we were in, like, she doesn't remember a lot of it at all. Like, she thinks like, when I talked to her about it, she's like, I thought we were back in Florida. Like, she doesn't remember being like, they had traveled for Christmas or something, because it happened right around Christmas. But my dad was like, no, we were there. I remember going into work the next day, like going in. So it's kind of an interesting concept, because the fact that they were there when it happened and they have different memories, like, that makes you wonder about if they were trying to like mess people's memories up so that they wouldn't have, it actually makes a lot of sense, right?
Did your dad, you said that he remembered everybody kind of talking about this incident?
Yeah, and being totally spooked. I mean, it happened over the span of like 2 or 3 days. It wasn't just like a few people. Like the very first night, it was Jim Penniston and John Burroughs, and they actually approached a craft, and Jim Penniston touched the craft and received a download. We were just talking about downloads. He received a download of binary, of ones and zeros that he couldn't get out of his head until the next day when he decided to finally write it down in a notebook, and then he could finally like not be so immersed in these numbers. That was only when he could let it go. And then the next night, after that, there were also sightings. So it was like a not just one night. It was across the span of a few nights, and there were multiple people that witnessed something weird going on in the forest. Lights zooming around, and some people actually saw a craft.
Did your dad know anybody? Did he know Penniston? Did he know Burroughs?
It's so cool, Jimmy, because I took that Rendlesham Forest Incident book and I just opened up because my mom said, hey, I probably know some people in there. And I'm just opening to a random page and saying a name. And she was like, oh, yeah, I know them. So, yeah, my dad knew a lot of the people involved.
Larry Warren. Did he know Larry?
I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. Like, he's told me the names of the people that he knows, but I probably wrote it down somewhere, but I don't have it on the top of my head.
All right, let's get him on the phone.
I know, right? That would be so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty trippy. And your mom worked with these people too. Now, this is what's really cool about the military life. Everybody knows everybody on base. It is an enclosed. You are fenced in, right? And you work with these people day in and day out. The civilian life goes on outside of the gates. And that's the military life. So, of course, they would know the people that were in play. Now, let's go back to your dad for a second. What were the rumors? What did he tell you that he was hearing on the base after Christmas?
Oh, all kinds of things. Well, I mean, I think everybody really thought that there was something weird going on, but then it was all quashed. So they would all talk about it, like talking about UFOs for sure. But I think that there's also a layer that needs to be discussed because some people didn't think that it was UFOs at all. They just thought that it was advanced technology that they weren't given the clearance to know about.
Is this what your father has said? I don't want you to speak for him, but certainly you've had this conversation with him. Is that something that your dad has contemplated?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think yes, and we all do. I think that's the big question about Rendlesham Forest Incident.
Now, is your father still in the service?
No, he retired.
He's retired. Okay.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable talking about some things about the base? You don't care?
Well, I don't know how much information I'm going to be able to give you because I wasn't there. So
right. Okay. But you haven't heard the question yet.
Okay. What's the question?
Okay, the question is, were there nuclear weapons on the base?
I have asked my dad that, and I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately. But I can tell you from my research that I'm pretty darn sure there were.
Right.
That's what I can say. But
which would have a reason for this possible ET contact, amongst other things. I mean, there are reports that these craft were shining beams down into the weapon storage area, which allegedly, may or may not have contained nuclear weapons. On the official sense, there were no nuclear weapons in Great Britain, right? That were of U.S. origins, right? That's the official position. The unofficial position was, of course, it was this is NATO, this is the height of the Cold War, and of course we had nuclear weapons there. We just can't talk about that. So that's...
It would especially be embarrassing if they were public about having the nuclear missiles there, and then they have this like UFO sighting or this craft that was up on the radar that nobody knew about. That would be very embarrassing for the military.
Now, what do you think about these downloads that Penniston got?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. So, yeah, the binary code was apparently decoded, which I don't know if any of this is true because this is just, you find this on the internet, right? So I don't know. But apparently, or allegedly, the code was assessed by an expert, Joe Luciano, and the code actually says it has some letters, like words, and then it has actually some GPS coordinates. And the decoded version says exploration of humanity. And then it has some coordinates in Brazil, Belize, Sedona, the Great Pyramid in Giza, the Nazca Lines, a mountain in China that when in my research, that was like a spiritual mountain that they have been going to for just generations and generations. And it's like seen as like a holy place. And then the Temple of Apollo, or Portara at Temple of Apollo in Greece. And what's really interesting is that I decided to go to the coordinates in Sedona.
What'd you find?
So I trekked through the desert and I went to the coordinates, and there I did a video on this. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. And there are two trees that are like laid down in a crisscross, like an X, over the location of where the coordinates were. And it looks like the trees were uprooted. I didn't do any digging, but I don't know. It's between two mountains. And something that I also thought was cool was that the coordinates at the Great Pyramid in Giza in Egypt were between the two pyramids. And so it made me wonder if the mountains had some kind of pyramids under them. But I have to tell you, my intuition was telling me that if you think about it, these could be places, because these, I have to back up for a second. Jim Peniston went into a hypnotherapy session to try to uncover more of what occurred when his hand touched the craft. And they were able to uncover that they were time travelers. Whoever was in this craft, they apparently said that they were time travelers,
right.
Which makes me wonder if the coordinates in in Sedona are going to be somewhere important in the future. Like, there's a lot of spiritual energy there in Sedona. And from what I've seen people do research on, there are vortexes there, energy vortexes. So it makes me wonder if eventually, like here in the next maybe 5 or 10 years, something's going to be built there and it's going to be important and people are going to flock there in a spiritual sense.
Did you cop a vibe when you were there?
I don't know. I honestly was dehydrated. It was a long trek and it was hot. I don't think I really caught much of a vibe. I mean, I was excited, but it's not like I had anything woo-woo happen to me. I just kind of looked around and took video and was really excited, but nothing weird happened.
But you said that there were uprooted trees too. What do you think you were seeing? I'm trying to visualize this, and that sounds pretty trippy to me.
It was, yeah. It made me feel like somebody had gone, like we were speculating, like, did somebody go there before and they were trying to mark it?
Right.
Or was that where the craft landed or something? Or was there something under the ground that we could have dug and found? I don't know. There were a lot of questions. I wish I had had a shovel and a lot more time and water.
Yeah, right. Were there, going to the location, were there other uprooted trees, or were the trees only uprooted where the X marks the spot?
The trees were only uprooted where the X marked the spot. And then another interesting thing was there was a tree that was like directly, I think, north. I can't remember. I think it was north. And there was like a hole in the tree that I thought was interesting. And this is all on the video. You can see this on the video that I posted on my YouTube channel because I filmed it. I thought, this is kind of weird. It looks like a hole in the tree that was not very natural looking.
Now, so what do you think, before we move on, when it comes to Rendlesham, the time traveler angle on this is something that I'm really interested in, and it makes a lot of sense if that was indeed the case. So what do you think? Do you think it was E.T.? Do you think it was time travelers to the future? What's your conclusions?
Well, I think that I would have to step all the way back just because I can't attest to the authenticity of the binary code Decoded. I don't know why. My question is, why did they wait so long to produce this notebook? If it happened in 1980, why was it so long before they finally came out with this notebook and decoded it? I know that it was like right before the Ancient Aliens episode, and that was, I think, season 2 or 3 of Ancient Aliens that they talked about the Rendlesham Forest Incident and the binary code Decoded. So I'm still way back there with trying to figure out if this is even true. But if it is, let's just say for a second it is, then it becomes very interesting. And sure, if the hypnotherapy session was correct and this code is correct and the beings in there were time travelers, then it makes me really excited about what's going to happen in Sedona if there is something that's going to be there in the future. And it also makes me wonder about the other coordinates and finding out what could be occurring there.
Very interesting. Very interesting. There are, when we look at UFO history and you go to UFO 101, we have a few significant events that have happened. Of course, there's Roswell, there's Betty and Barney Hill, Travis Walton, Rendlesham, Malmstrom Air Force Base, and then you could throw in a few other things that are in between, like the MJ-12 documents and so forth. But Rendlesham is right there. And to have the direct connection with your family to that, and going back and having them actually know some of the players in the forest that night is fascinating to me, and that's really, really cool. I don't have that in my family. I mean, I just don't, unless my dad's not telling me things. But
I have a lot of weird experiences like that. It seemed to follow me around. Like that happened in my family. They were there at Rendlesham. And then when we lived in Virginia, actually, we were there when the Seton miracles happened, which I don't know if you know about that, but our church, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, was the location where our priest, Father James Bruce, was giving a mass, and then the statues of Mary and the mass began to cry. And this was in Time magazine. This was a huge story.
Didn't he cure cancer?
Yes.
Right. So you were there for that?
We were there. That priest came to our house and blessed us, blessed our house. We hung out with him. That was our church.
Did you see? I remember this. Hold on a minute. Okay. Did you see the tears?
We did not, unfortunately. We weren't there when it happened, which makes me so sad. But at the same time, it's still cool because it was our priest. And we knew, I have to say, though, that my sister, she was friends with a boy whose mom had cancer, and she had like stage 4 cancer. Like she was not doing so hot. And then she goes and she sees Father James Bruce, and then she's cured. And so from a young age, my sister, she saw this healing occur. How amazing is that?
Unreal. Wait, was he legit?
That's a great question. I think he was legit. Otherwise, he was really. I mean, I think he was legit. If you look at all of the context clues, and it wasn't just the statues of Mary crying on multiple occasions, right, and multiple people being healed. He had the wounds of stigmata, or the wounds of Jesus Christ. I don't know what that's all about. If it wasn't legit, this would be a huge conspiracy. So who knows? I mean, I can't say for sure. I can't say for sure one way or the other, but it seemed to me to be pretty legit.
Well, and so he came to your house. What, you know him personally. What's your take there? I mean, would he be somebody to pull off this kind of hoax?
Well, I was really young, but my parents were really close with him. And I mean, I would like to, maybe that's a good question for me to ask them directly. But from what I've talked to my mom about with it, he's a nice guy. He's a priest.
Right.
Like just a legit nice guy coming to the house and eating dinner with us and just being a normal guy. I think, and this is something that I have to say because it's true, a lot of people want to sensationalize. They want to think that things are so big and crazy and that, someone's going to go and create all of this mess just to stir up the pot. But then you have to look at the motivation. Like, why? Why would he even do that if it's not legit? Like, why would he want to put himself out there like that? I don't know.
I wanted to. I may keep you on for a little overtime if that's okay. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
There was another moment that happened in the medicine wheel. I want to go back and visit this a little bit. Rita and you stayed back. I staggered out of I stumbled out of the medicine wheel, trying to wonder what planet I was on. And while I was walking away, you guys stayed back, and Rita took a series of pictures there. And one of them apparently showed some, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it, some parallel world, some interdimensional things were going on. And you were there for that. You may have even helped manifest what was going on. What did you think? What went through your mind when you looked at the pictures that she took with you?
I have to be honest, Jimmy, there were so many weird things that were going on that weekend. It was very exciting and a little bit hard to grasp. I was walking out of my room and Rita said, Teresa, you come here. And she was standing with Jason Quitt and she said, I have to show you this picture. She shows me this picture of the Andromedan sign that was inside the medicine wheel. And it looked like it had been chopped up like into 5 or 6 different pieces from the center of the photo over. And it looked really interesting. And Jason was talking to us and he was saying, well, maybe this is showing like the dimensional differences, like the different dimensions. It was a really interesting photo. And I also have a video on that on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've seen the video where you're discussing it's Holly. It's you and Holly and
yes.
And
oh my
Quitt.
Gosh, I love Holly so much. Holly and Jason both. I was able to interview them.
What is it about ESETI that all of this stuff is going on at the same time? It's trippy, isn't it? We had Bigfoot, we had the UFOs, we had the UFO door, we had fairies, we had Rita shooting parallel dimensions, and it's all going on at the same time. It depends on what direction you're walking in. You're going to go and experience something else. What is it about ESETI?
I think that there are a couple of different layers here because I think the people there, when you get a bunch of people together that are open-minded and open to each other and excited and just exuding this source energy, that's one thing. And then another thing is the place itself, the mountain, has so much cosmic energy and forces there that it's just the combination of all of it coming together and creating this perfect storm, if you will, of magic.
Yeah, we're going to have our first conference that we're going to do, you're going to participate in, will be at ESETI in a little less than a year. It'll be next August. And what a great place to do just that. And what we are going to do there, you're going to participate, is our Fade to Black get-together is going to be about teaching. We're going to bring everybody together and actually show, teach, and have a group setting of knowledge. And could there be a better place to do something like this?
I'm so excited. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be a party.
And you've been to conferences, and it's one thing to go and listen to a presentation one after another, and that's great. A lot of people go to conferences for just that. But you never see anybody teaching, right? Teaching and sharing knowledge. And I think that is the next step here. And that's exactly what we are going to do. Do you think we can keep everybody focused in a classroom setting for 3 days?
Absolutely. And I think that this is paramount. I'm so excited. And when Rita was telling me about y'all's idea here, I just started to get so fired up because that is what we need. People need to do. They want to be active. They want to be engaged. They want to create. And that also, from my teaching background and my training background, that's how you really ingrain the messages in people. You let them get their hands dirty and figure it out on their own. And when you create an environment for that, it's going to expand these messages to a whole new level.
Man, I just want a Bigfoot sighting. That was the one thing that I didn't get. I want a Bigfoot sighting. Got everything else, man. I got the fairies. I traveled to another planet. We got ET. All those things happen up there, but I'm waiting for a Bigfoot this next time around. We are going to have a Bigfoot with Steve Murillo, and we're going to do, how do I want to say this? A Bigfoot expedition class. Now, how cool is that? Learn how to go and find Bigfoot. All right, we will be right back. More with Teresa Yanaros, thedivinefrequency.com. We'll be right back. Stay with us. A little overtime right now.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night and you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Tepe.
I'm Matt Ray with America's First News. We all know if you're planning a trip, you should shop and compare, right? But why endlessly search the web when you don't have to? Flight Services helps you find the lowest possible airfare. Talk directly to a travel pro right now for the best deals available. Their travel pros have additional discounts not found on websites, and Flight Services provides 24-hour customer service. Call toll-free 844-845-9944. That's 844-845-9944.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hard shell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Little overtime with Teresa Yanaros, thedivinefrequency.com. And her links to her YouTube channel are right over there. All right. So, Teresa, I wanted to, and I've been asking a lot of our guests the same question. But here we have, since the eclipse, forget about before the eclipse, but since the eclipse, half of the United States is now burning with wildfires. The other half of the United States is getting hit by hurricanes. If that isn't enough, we have North Korea, testing nukes. And then if you really want the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, Even today, we got Trump making deals with the Democrats, right? I mean, it's just the world is tipped over. What is going on?
It makes me wonder if the cabals, okay, we're going there.
Yes.
If the cabals are launching an attack against all of the positive meditations that came out of the eclipse.
Say that again?
Like everybody coming together during the eclipse and meditating and praying for not only disclosure, forget disclosure, I'm talking about peace, I'm talking about expansion, I'm talking about growth of consciousness and love and all the wonderful, amazing things that we're doing as a world community. The cabals and the let's just say the bad guys here, maybe trying to launch an attack. You know, you've got systems in place, technologies that can cause storms, and all of this mushed together. It's just a lot happening worldwide, and it's quite literally a spiritual war going on. That's the reality, and we're doing a good job of fighting it, I believe.
Do you think it's, I was asking Justin this last night, you probably heard, but do you think it's possible for us to, get our minds together and misdirect or dissolve Irma?
Yeah, heck yeah. I've seen the power of prayer. I was raised Catholic, and I have been in some intensely amazing situations where you can see a group consciousness really make a change. I mean, and even taking it away from spirituality altogether and just taking it to the consciousness level, I would play it in an orchestra, and I have felt that power of harnessing 100 people all at once playing the same note and the same piece. It's so powerful.
Right.
And yes, our minds are powerful, and we can connect, and we can expand, and we can take that consciousness and shine that light. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's light at the end of the tunnel right now. We've got so much to overcome. What just went down in Texas, we're going to be dealing with that and its aftermath and reconstruction and lives that have been tipped over. I just got hold on. I just got a text from James Gilliland as you were speaking. I guess,
awesome.
Yeah, I guess he's listening to the show. All
Hi,
right,
James.
All right, James. He says that you nailed it. There it is. The text from James Gilliland just came in. Yep. She said she nailed it. The fires and the hurricanes, the chemtrails, as accelerants, all out war on creation. Hey, James, what's up, my brother? There you go.
Awesome,
I picture them up there at ESETI. They're all in the conference room, right? That's where they are right now. They got the big stereo system cranked up. They got the lights. They got the fans going and the mood lighting, and they're listening to Fade to Black.
Man, that's so cool. James Gilliland is just one of the coolest people that I've ever met in my entire life. Like he needs to be talking in front of like billions of people. I wish I could just like give him a microphone to the earth and be like, here you go.
You know what's trippy about James? I hung out with him so many times over the years, and he would always, tell me these stories about ESETI, and I would listen, and I'm interested, right? But I would always think to myself, there's way too much stuff going on up there. I mean, it was almost too much. And then you go there and you experience it. You're like, man, he's not hyping this enough. Seriously.
Well, he's happy to exist in his space. I mean, like, I can't say I wouldn't be the same way. I'd probably be the same way. It's like, protect your home and invite people in, but he doesn't want it to get so big. I'd probably feel the same way.
Now, I want to talk about how you named what you're doing, the divine frequency, because it's very unique. Tell me how you came up with that.
Oh, man, that's a good question. Well, and it kind of, I think I made the name before I realized how perfect it was. And I have that pattern in my life where I have intuition when I don't even really get it yet. And then later I look back and I'm like, wow, 23-year-old me had something figured out. Well, anyway, I named it Divine Frequency. And one day, this is an interesting story. I was researching channeling, and I only researched this for a couple weeks, and then I kind of just like went on my merry way. But I was reading this book. I was on a train to New York, and I was reading about channeling, and I closed my eyes and I went into a meditative state, and I received this image. And it was so cool because it was like a lotus flower that was opening up and then closing and opening up and then closing. And then all of a sudden it was overlaid with an image of like a satellite, like a ground radar that was spinning in a circle. And then it was like this juxtaposition of the opening and closing of the flower and then the radar spinning. And I had this idea or this thought where it was like communication where you're beaconing out, but then you're receiving in. So this flow, this ebb and flow of communication of the soul and the spirit moving outwards, taking input in and becoming new, and then opening up and letting it out into the world, and or not even just the world, but the cosmos, even higher than that. So divine frequency took on a new level there because we are divine within us. We have divinity within us, and we shine that out and we receive. And it's just beautiful. And I just got a new logo. I don't know if you've seen it, but I just released that like yesterday. My graphic designer, Caroline's amazing. Shout out to Caroline. And so we've incorporated that in where it has the star of the soul and then like the Wi-Fi symbol where it shows like the beacon out and then receiving that in.
Yeah, I saw it this morning. Very cool. The approach that you have with the people that are contacting you, are they contacting you because of your knowledge? How do they find you? Is it word of mouth, and is it because of your approach to how you are dealing with the divine frequency and the soul journey?
I think that because I'm so open and I don't try to act like a know-it-all, people feel open to me and they resonate with me. And so I receive a lot of messages all the time. Thank you, by the way, to everybody for sending me messages and making me feel like I'm a part of this awesome community. I love you guys. And people ask me questions because they need help with their journey. And so I started a coaching business that's actually going really well. Shout out to my homies that I'm coaching. And it's going really well. I love to talk to people and help them see. And it's not even just like, oh, I'm telling them what to do. It's like helping them uncover what it is that they are supposed to be doing and just supporting that journey and nurturing that.
And the approach that you do with the videos and how you handle YouTube, again, it's a very unique way of interviewing, and also your content is as well. I think it comes from an original. You're not doing it the way it's been done before. How do you approach making your videos?
It's a great question. I could not for the life of me find anybody like me. When I was starting to put together a YouTube channel, I was trying to do research, and then I gave up because I could not find anything like what I wanted to be. And because I feel like I'm very grounded, I'm down to earth, and I'm grounded in reality. I'm not super woo woo out there, like so far out there that it's hard to figure out how it relates to your life. So because I want to be practical, I want to give a message that's practical, that can actually, you can gain something out of it that you can put directly, you can insert it into your life and you can use it. It's data you can use and you can act on. And I find that there are a lot of people out there that are men that give really great, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything or get controversial, but I found a lot of channels that were men that were doing a lot of this good work where it was very tangible and everything. And then I don't know, but I'm kind of a merging of the two, where it was like I had this spiritual side that I wanted to incorporate into it, but I also like to talk about the facts. So it's sort of this, I go back and forth, and I just, whatever I want to talk about that day, whether it be about the secret space program, or if it may be about, I don't know, the chakra system or whatever, I can kind of throw that all in together, and it's amalgamated in one space where I think I might maybe reach a broader audience.
Tell me about your book. What is magic?
It's called.
Well, wait. You're a little young to have written a book already.
I'm 30. Is that young to write a book? I don't know.
Oh, I haven't done it yet. I think I'm too young. But no, tell me about the book.
Yeah, so the book is called What is Magic, and it is a story of a woman. It's based on my experiences of my awakening process. And Yeah, it's really cool because when I started writing the book, it was right after I started having those like out of body experiences because I was reading Journey of Souls. And so I was like, I got to get this down. I got to write a book. And it was like I went into this flow state for 2 months of my life where all I did was write. I could not stop writing. I was averaging like 8 or 9 pages a day. And after 2 months, I turned around and I had written 550 pages. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just wrote a book. And it was like, it just happened on its own. And then I started editing it because, my degree is in journalism and focus in editing. So I'm an editor. So I was like, I got this. And I started editing it and I edited it down to 400 pages. And now I'm getting so close to publishing it. I'm getting there. I just got to put, sources in. And then that's pretty much it. I released the first 2 chapters on my website for free so that people can read them. And then my intention is to publish it ASAP.
Well, you create your own reality, right? You want a publisher? You just focus on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I give it 2 weeks.
Cool. I like that. Are you manifesting that for me? That's awesome.
I do. I'm a firm believer in that. Now, I don't know if my life's journey, my soul journey has been just a long series of luck, but I have always been able to do exactly what I wanted to do at that moment.
That's amazing.
It's that simple. I wanted to be an artist. I became an artist, and I did that for years. I wanted to be a guitar player, and I wanted to go to Hollywood, and I wanted to do, all of those things. I did that. Then I wanted to produce bands, and I wanted to make records and go and do that. All of that happened.
You're a Jimmy of all trades.
Well, it's nobody's going to do it for you, but you also create your own reality.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like the reality that you're in, then just what is it that you want to do, and think about it, manifest it, create it, plan it out in your mind, and then just go and do what you have to do. Anybody can do it. If you're not happy, if you haven't found your bliss yet, then go and manifest it and create your own reality. One day I'll talk more about it, but I literally, when I was, and I'm going to ask you the same question. When I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I had dream after dream after dream after dream of me being in a radio studio talking on a microphone. Okay? Now, I'm 5 years old. I wasn't listening to radio. I don't even know what a studio, but the whole thing, the glass, the people, the engineers, the consoles, the boards, the technology, the lights changing, around you, the meters, the computer, the microphone, all of that I dreamed about over and over again, and it didn't make sense to me. But I chased that. You know what I mean? And that's it. You manifest your own reality. And I knew that I would be here someday. Did you do the exact same thing?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had dreams of being on a stage forever. And then those dreams sort of started to get weird when I got in college because I had this dream, this recurring dream where I would be standing on a stage and I would be trying to speak the truth. It would always happen during a government takeover, and there would be this woman in control. She was like the leader, and there were these guys with guns that were shutting down the whole town, the whole community. And sometimes there were zombies. I have zombie dreams all the time. But then I would stand on the stage and I would be speaking into a microphone and I'm trying to speak the truth. And then these words would flow through me and I didn't know what I was saying, but I was speaking things that were changing people. And they were able to hear and they were able to break break chains. It was like this really interesting dream that I had 5 or 6 times since I was 20.
Yeah, you can't ignore those things. You just can't. You cannot. And if I ever have advice for anybody, don't ignore that. Dreams mean something. And I've had a lot of guests that I've tried to get answers for how to interpret dreams. But I've had many dreams over and over and over again. And that, I don't share it. I don't talk about, but I watch them become reality. and it trips me out, man. It one day in private next time that we're hanging out with Rita and Jordan and stuff, I'll tell you a couple. But
that sounds awesome. I love
really
hearing dreams, and I've always had really intense dreams my whole life, and I've kept a dream journal. And as a part of my book, What is Magic, every chapter basically opens up with a whole dream sequence. So you get to really have fun with learning about my intense dreams when you read my book.
Now, your first, before we depart here, your first Divine Frequency webinar is happening next Friday, September 15th. Tell us about that.
I'm so excited. Yeah, so I'm finally going to be putting on a Divine Frequency webinar. I'm so excited. It's going to be called Awakening Experiences and featuring my special guest, Stacy Good. It will be next Friday, which is the 15th of September from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to be sharing experiences of our awakening. But my idea here with these webinars is this is for the conscious community. So if you're a part of this webinar, you will be able to ask questions, and I want to open up the floor for other people to also get a chance to share their experiences.
There you go. Now, and you just go to your website, thedivinefrequency.com, and everything is there.
The webinar information is on my Facebook, so go to facebook.com/Divine Frequency, or it's actually The Divine Frequency, but you can find me on Facebook.
Okay, and links to Facebook are on your website?
Yes.
There you go. Thank you so much, Teresa. Great conversation tonight.
Thank you, Jimmy. You're awesome.
No, you're awesomer. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, and I've been watching Twitter flutter by, and everybody is really enjoying the evening here on the show. So thank you so much for that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for giving me the opportunity to come hang out with you.
And we'll do it again soon. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Okay, bye.
Teresa Yanaros, everybody. TheDivineFrequency.com. Her YouTube channel is there. Her Facebook links are on her website, too, as well. And the first Divine Frequency webinar is next Friday, September 15th. Her information, the information for that is over on her Facebook page. Now, before I say goodnight to everybody, we were talking about dreams. And last night I had this crazy dream, and I woke up this morning and I went to Rita and I said, I had this dream last night. We were drinking coffee and doing our thing, and we got sidetracked. And as we started to head off to the day and to the bunker and working, I said, I wanted to tell you about my dream. And she said, well, you'll have to tell me about it later. And I said, no. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to talk about this right now because it was really trippy. And Rita gets to hear about it now over the radio. All right. Which is this. This was the dream. And I can't make sense out of it. And I've never had anything like this before. And it was vivid. It was real. And there wasn't the element of craziness or unbelievable, the whole dream part. No, this is what happened. The dream was that Rita and I and our daughter Diana, just one of our daughters was with us, and we were over at the house, and the phone rings, and it rings once, and I pick it up. And it was a recording, it was a recording that said, you must evacuate your home now. And I was like, what? And then I went to the television and I turned it on, and there was some type of nuclear threat, and it was off the coast of Los Angeles, and that was the weird part. It was out in the ocean, and that the disaster was imminent, like any second, and it was off the coast of California. And so then I go to Rita, and I tell her that we have to evacuate, and so we go into the closet, or we go to gather clothes, and she and I, we both did the same thing, and so did Diana. We get like one pair of pants and like one shirt, and we run downstairs and out front, and somebody meets us out front of the house, and there were groups of people that were getting into a bus out in front of our home. And somebody says to us, no, you've got to like get everything. And out front, the neighbors all had like giant suitcases. I mean, everybody had suitcases. And we run back into the house, and we're gathering up like everything. And I remember I grabbed a photo album, and I grabbed that, and I'm grabbing like clothes, and we're packing up the thing, and the TV is on in the background, again, talking about we have minutes to get everything together. And then we go out, and we get on this bus, and we ride away. And then the bus, as we get on the bus, it stops, and it stops about a block away. And we're waiting. And I tell Rita, we can't wait. Let's go and get in our car. And so we jump off the bus with our luggage, and we go back to our car. This is all in the dream. It was so vivid. And we load the luggage in the car. I open up the garage door. I grab water. I grab some food. I loaded up in the car, and we took off, and we started driving north. And the goal was some northern state. And then I woke up. So that was the dream. But the thing was, I spun around, and I remembered all of it, and it was like it was real. That was the thing. I felt like I just went through this experience, and I don't know. I don't put a whole lot into that kind of situation, and so I started to rationalize things. Maybe I'm tripping out on Irma and what's going on in Houston and those evacuations. Maybe it's that, but that had nothing to do with nuclear. So maybe it had something to do with that's combining with North Korea. And I'm trying to just rationalize this thing. But the trippy part about all of it was there was nothing unrealistic. It was all just real and vivid, like it really went down. So then I started to, as the day went on today, and I kept going back to this dream and thinking about it. I'm thinking, man, you know, these guys that have these prophecies and these dreams, and they talk about it, and they freak everybody out with this, and this is a possibility, and maybe I'm seeing the future. No, I don't want to go there. I don't. But I thought it was important enough to share the dream with everybody tonight, and maybe just get everybody's thoughts and opinions on this. Is it just because of the news over the last 24 hours? And maybe my brain was reacting to that. Man, it was just trippy. And again, I want to emphasize this whole nuclear thing. Before I wrap tonight, the image of the there was a logo or some kind of graphic on the TV that was off the coast of California out in the ocean, and it looked like how do I want to say this, like a nuclear electric plant. It was that. It wasn't a bomb. Okay, it wasn't that. So that wasn't it. It was some kind of nuclear disaster, and it was out in the ocean. It was very strange. It wasn't like we were being attacked or there, you know, a war or anything. No, it was something else, and it was vivid. It was like this was Panavision. That's the best way I can explain it. It was in living color. All right, well, that wraps another episode of Fade to Black. Thank you, Teresa Yanaros. Great conversation tonight. That is the next generation. This is what this show is all about. Right now, building the foundation of our community so we can move into the future. And you know what? With guests like and people involved like Justin Deschamps yesterday, today Teresa, I think we're in good hands. And we can't forget Sabrina and Sterling. Got to get them on the show. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Teresa Yanaros. Again, thedivinefrequency.com. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Until tomorrow night, Fader Night, John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom. Everybody be safe. Go Backley Tappy.